I have to say, this is the best view in the house. Just want to remind everyone to silence their cell phones. We're going to begin the program. My pleasure to welcome you both in person and to those of you on Zoom to the Adelphi New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support programs Celebration of Survivorship. Tonight will be an inspiring evening that we are proud to share with you. Elected officials, university leadership, our clients, volunteers, supporters, and community partners. I'm Reina Machado, director of the program. Thank you for joining us to celebrate life and strength. The community we serve continues to inspire me with their courage, hope, enthusiasm. There's so much love in this room. We are honored to have Danielle Gaudio Lalehzar, Diana Mitchnick, and Lynne Borah join us and share their breast cancer journey. Thank you for your honesty, your support, and your commitment to the community. The staff at the Adelphi New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program is unlike any other. We continue to hold in-person and virtual educational programs, fundraising events, and recognize the heart and soul of our program, our volunteers. In order to protect our most vulnerable community members, including those in active treatment for breast cancer, most of our support groups continue to be held over Zoom. However, as we continue to innovate, we're excited to facilitate a new breast cancer hormone therapy support group that will be held in person. I urge everyone to remember that when survivors unite, hope ignites, and call on you to take charge of your health and remember your annual cancer screenings. In addition, I want to note legislation that passed on October 1st, which expands insurance coverage of supplemental breast cancer screening for women with dense breasts. This includes diagnostic mammograms, ultrasounds, and MRIs. Thank you to those of you who reached out with concerns and allowed us to advocate and sign on to this key legislation. As always, please reach out if you need help navigating the healthcare system or in need of a mammography referral. There are so many people I would like to thank tonight. My remarkable team, Angela, who coordinated tonight's celebration, including coordinating and speaking with all of the speakers so that they can share their remarkable journeys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Michelle, Kim, Lois, Nina, Sandra, and Amy, and Vanessa, who joined us yesterday, have all been involved in various aspects of the program's success. This team wears many hats. I truly appreciate your professionalism and your commitment. Thank you. The advisory board, including those of you here tonight, Joan, Lynn, Adie, Debbie, and Pam, thank you for your expertise, guidance, and contributions to the program. Our volunteers are the heart and soul of our program. Thank you all for your dedication and compassion. It's been a very busy month and you have been everywhere. I also want to thank Sergeant Jerry Lennon, who is here both as a program volunteer and as a public safety officer. A special thank you to our generous sponsors, as well as a special thanks to Chartwells at Adelphi Dining Services, Digital Graphic Imagery, and Hicks Nurseries, who provided the gorgeous centerpieces. Finally, I'd like to thank all of the individuals and businesses who purchased journal ads. Your generosity for celebration raised almost $10,000. Thank you. While we are housed at Adelphi University, our program brings in all of our own funding from New York State, private and family foundations, and donations. We work very hard to ensure that all of our services are completely free, including tonight's event. There are donation envelopes on the tables. If you are able to make a tax-free contribution to pay it forward, please do so. Now we have a surprise for the evening. My pleasure to introduce Joan Beater, chair of the program's advisory board. Joan Beater is professor emeritus at Yeshiva University. She has been teaching social work for over 35 years and has been a member of the advisory board since our inception in 1980.
Thank you. What a great crowd this evening. Many years ago, when this program was first conceptualized, there were a number of things that had to be considered. First of all, of course, was the focus of the program, to utilize volunteers to help those who were newly diagnosed or perhaps concerned about breast cancer issues. And of course, then came the question of staffing. And again, these are early on decisions that have to be made. And we also made a decision to use the program as a training site for social work students, and we were housed in the School of Social Work. But once all of that was done, we had to figure out, as founding members of the program, how are we going to publicize this program? How are people going to know the unique contribution that this program is going to do and make? So the question became, we need to hire someone who's going to publicize the program. We searched and we searched, and we ended up hiring Lynne Dobrin, who had been working at that time for the School of Social Work. And Lynne was tasked with spreading the word about the program, getting it out there so that if anyone ever heard that someone was recently diagnosed, the immediate thought would be, oh, I just read about this program at Adelphi. Lynne took on the task, utilized her media connections, newspapers, television, etc., to promote the program to the point where it is axiomatic that when someone is diagnosed, they know to reach out to us. That was 44 years ago and running until just last week, when Lynne made the decision to retire after being an integral part of the growth of this program for 44 years. So I'm asking you to say thank you to Lynne and have you come on up ahead.
You ever have a secret you want to keep, tell us as your own. Thank you. All right. This has been a very big, important part of my life. And I have been so glad to help tell the story of this program and to help let people. Why didn't you tell me? I would have had some prepared remarks. Oh, let me think. I'm very thankful that I've met all of you. You've all been an inspiration to me. And I hope that I have helped you with what I've done along the way. Now, when I sit down, I'm going to think of 1,000 things that I wanted to say. But I do want to say, volunteers, I appreciate every one of you. And I appreciate everything you've done for this program. I like the staff too. That's enough from me, and thank you so much.
My pleasure now to introduce the Dean of the School of Social Work, Joanne Corbin. Since joining Adelphi last July, she's been a trusted supporter of the program, and I'm very excited to welcome her to our second annual celebration. Please welcome Dean Corbin.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. This is a wonderful event already. Congratulations. Thank you. And Raina, very much. I'd like to welcome you all to this celebration, and most especially to give thanks and appreciation to the Executive Director, Raina Machado, for her leadership of the program and to the team with which she worked. Can we give them a round of applause? As Dean of the School of Social Work, I am so proud to have the Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program housed within our building. And so while we are separate, we are neighbors and closely working together. And over the last year that I've been here, I've gotten to know in depth the work that the center does, the program does, that the staff, the volunteers, and I've been a part of these celebrations in the past, and they've been inspirational. This work is important because worldwide, 2.3 million individuals are diagnosed with breast cancer each year. 367,000 cases have been diagnosed in the US alone. This is a real and timely issue for us all to continue to pay attention to and make sure is in the forefront of the work that we do. The work that the program does, number one, increases our awareness of the issues of breast cancer for all genders of individuals. It makes sure that we know about the information about early identification, and as Raina talked about, the new bills that have been passed, and it ensures that individuals know how to get access to treatment. And we need to make sure that everyone has access to treatment so that the cases of survivorship increase. And so I, again, just want to appreciate the work, the hard work, the important work that needs to get done on this, and we're happy to be a part of it as Adelphi University. This evening, we have recognitions and celebrations as well, and I'd like to turn to that part of the proceedings this afternoon. I'd like to invite Provost Storm from the university to come up with me. There are recognitions by Senator Monica Martinez's office. There are proclamations, and there are citations from Assemblywoman Michelle Solage's office as well. I'd like to also recognize and appreciate from Senator Monica Martinez's office. The senator was not able to be with us, but Adina Bender is able to be with us this afternoon. So thank you, Adina, for being here. Thank you for representing the senator. So we will start, and the citations and proclamations will go to our individuals of honor this afternoon, and we'll one at a time. The first honors go to Danielle Gaudio Lalehzar. Would come up. And I'll just, I will read the citations, and Provost Storm, sorry, Adina. The first sentence. So from the New York State Assembly, the citation beginning goes, "A great state is only as great as the citizens who give exemplary services to their community." And it goes on. And so we will let help.
On behalf of Senator Martinez, the New York State Senate wishes to join the Citizens Fourth Senatorial District in recognizing Danielle Gaudio Lalehzar at the 2024 Adelphi Annual Celebration of Survivorship as a breast survivor. And then
Okay, so our next citation is from the New York State Assembly, from Assemblywoman Michelle Solage, and it goes to Diana Mitchnick.
on behalf of New York State Senator Monica Martinez to Diana Mitchnick for your survivorship and your advocacy.
And we'd like to invite Lynne Borah. This is from the New York State Assembly, the citation. A great state is only as great as the citizens who give exemplary services to their community. Borah.
And from Senator Martinez in celebration of your survivorship and your advocacy. I want to make a quick housekeeping announcement. For those of you on Zoom, if you could mute yourselves, apparently there's some feedback that people are hearing for those of you on Zoom. Please make sure that you're on mute. Thank you. Okay. I'd now like to introduce our first speaker, Danielle Gaudio. In 2020, Danielle was diagnosed with stage 2 hormone-positive H2 negative breast cancer during the COVID-19 pandemic. Being diagnosed during a global pandemic made her situation extremely difficult, and as we can imagine, resulted in her feeling isolated. Danielle is also a proud alumna of Adelphi University, class of 1989, and she obtained her master's in 1990. And as a Garden City resident, she remembered seeing advertisements for the Adelphi Breast Cancer Program in the Garden City News, and she reached out to our program for support. She also received tremendous support from her husband, 2 children, family, and friends. We are so pleased to have Danielle share her journey with us tonight. Please welcome Danielle.
Be my first time speaking in front of over 200 people. So bear with me if I make any mistakes along the way. I want to welcome and thank you to everyone who took the time to be here today and to those who couldn't be here but are watching on Zoom. My sister couldn't be here. She's at a horse show, and my younger son couldn't be here. He's taking an exam at Barrett, but he is here on Zoom. So hi, Dylan. Hi, Lisa, and everybody else watching. Thanks to my mother, who's no longer here, but always in my heart. Special thanks to my fellow guest speakers, Diana and Lynn, for sharing their personal journeys, celebrating over 20 years of survivorship. Cheers to that. Going first tonight is a gift. It's my first time ever speaking in front of an audience on a stage. 200 plus people are here in the room. Yikes. So since I'm not really a funny, humorous person, I decided I have to do something that everybody who knows me knows that I would do. That's the only way I can be funny. Okay. So my heartfelt thanks goes to the Adelphi Breast Cancer Support Program and all those who make it possible to provide the support we so deeply need when we make that call to the hotline. The call that takes courage to make. The call I made in 2020. Angela Papalia, Assistant Director at the Hotline and Support Program, took my calls weekly for months. Her comforting voice and a listening ear provided the support I desperately needed. I'm forever grateful for her ability to receive my angst and sadness with sincere empathy, a true gift. When Angela asked me if I would be one of the 3 panelists for the annual Celebration of Survivorship Gala, I said yes without hesitation. A year earlier, I would have said no. What a difference a year makes. It took about a year after I finished treatment before I began to feel somewhat like myself again. I was diagnosed in June 2020 and completed treatment in April 2024, 10 months later. It's October 2024, 3 years after finishing grueling treatment during a pandemic. Finally, I feel comfortable talking about my cancer and sharing what I believe can benefit others. As Leonard Nimoy said, the more we share, the more we have. Sharing my journey gives me a deeper sense of purpose at this stage in my life. I graduated from Adelphi with a bachelor's degree in 1989 and a master's degree in elementary education in 1990. 35 years ago, I lived on this campus in Waldo Hall, just steps away from the social work building where Adelphi holds space for the New York State Breast Cancer Survivor Hotline and Support Program. One thing you should know about me is that I've always considered writing a source of healing, especially through handwritten letters. Writing letters was always a way to connect and find comfort through various losses in my life. My parents' divorce, the loss of my mother, distance from loved ones, and cancer. I still remember the anticipation and delight of my childhood, waiting for the mailman to come, hoping to receive letters addressed to me. As my diaries and journals remind me, there were some weeks when I mailed out 10 to 12 letters. The more letters I wrote, the more I received. Envelopes with familiar handwriting filled the mailbox, bringing me comfort and joy. The wonder and surprise of what the words on the pages would say was worth the time it took for a letter to arrive by snail mail. Handwritten letters meant the sender cared enough to take the time to write back and connect. When my dad moved thousands of miles away, his handwritten letters always made me feel his love. He was my loyal pen pal, always there through his written words. Letters from my mom filled my college mailbox weekly. I cherished receiving handwritten letters from her. Just knowing she had touched the paper, her handwriting distinctively hers, each word carrying the warmth of her love. The letters bring moments of history to light. Some I might have never known, some I may have forgotten. They are irreplaceable treasures, lovingly saved and preserved. In June of 2020, I was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. The paranoia and turmoil of the pandemic added an extra layer of fear. My world changed drastically the minute I heard those words, "You have breast cancer." I'm a proud mom of 2 young men, Cyrus, 23, and Dylan, soon to be 21. I've been happily married for 28 years to Sal, a man that's hard to measure up to. Sal is kind, thoughtful, honest, and caring. He puts all of us before himself. I was immediately concerned how my diagnosis would affect them. Sal and I decided to tell Cyrus and Dylan the same day we received the news. I wanted to cry and share how terrified I truly felt, but the mother in me wanted to protect them all from my fear of the unknown. Although the medical field has made great strides in breast cancer treatment, it does not take away the feeling of fear. I was able to get the words out with confidence that I did not possess in the moment. I will be fine. I prayed that they would believe me because at that time I didn't. I was quickly put in contact with a renowned breast surgeon, which relieved some of the burden, a gift. I also connected with 2 women who had recently been through the breast cancer journey, 2 angels, Dana and Susanna, with lots of advice and words of encouragement, another gift. One thing you quickly learn is that all breast cancers are not the same. We each wear our own unique shade of pink. There's so much to learn and too many decisions to be made in a short period of time. Overwhelming is an understatement. the stage, the grade, the size, lymph nodes or not, treatment to choose, endless details that are paralyzing. I discovered one thing is the same for all of us. We are forever changed. Learning how to cope after losing a piece of yourself is paramount. I immediately missed the me before, but I gradually learned to accept the loss and get to know the new me. As the saying goes, broken crayons still color. I felt broken and different, scared, confused, and sad, likely even depressed. But I never asked why me. Instead, I was grateful that I was 53 and not 33. So many young women face breast cancer, some half my age. Why not me? I was broken, but determined to still color. Thankfully, my husband, my dad, and my sister were there to help me navigate the tough decisions and decide on the treatment plan. My dad said, "Danielle, you're in one of the best treatment centers in the country. You have to trust in their advice." My sister was the catcher of my tears on every phone call we shared. COVID kept us apart physically. Sal instilled in me whenever I was wishy-washy about decisions, the importance of sticking to one. He'd say, "Danielle, once you make a decision, never look back. Just keep moving forward." Sal always has the best advice. His unwavering love, support, and strength, juggling my illness amongst numerous significant losses he was enduring at the same time, contributed to my warrior mode. I had to get through it for him and for Cyrus and Dylan, despite my nagging loss of hope. Focus on forward, I told myself, and that's what I did. Turning to writing helped me to see that while I felt so different, my handwriting was exactly the same. It felt so good to write and see something so familiar that hadn't changed after the diagnosis. My own handwriting, cursive, a skill I had perfected over many years. Decisions were made: lumpectomy, the most aggressive chemo, 5 weeks of radiation, Lupron to stop my ovaries, followed by an aromatase inhibitor for 5 years to stop the estrogen that was feeding my cancer. Worry was like a tidal wave, drowning me and pulling me into an ocean of fear like a riptide. I had to let it take me, process what would be next, and then find my way back to shore. It robbed me of sleep. I didn't want to live the rest of my life in fear from COVID and cancer. There were moments of lost hope. My only wishes were to make it to Dylan's high school graduation and see Cyrus graduate college. I entered survival mode, taking one day at a time, refusing to let the what ifs invade my brain. Whenever the worries and fears crept in, I turned my focus elsewhere. This became the marathon I didn't choose. Running 26.2 miles and crossing the finish line of the New York Marathon in 2011 taught me that I could do something I once may have deemed impossible. Preparation, determination, and taking one day at a time would get me to the finish line. I had to believe that my doctors, family, friends, faith, and mental strength would get me to the finish. Unlike who I was before diagnosis, social and always engaged in the lives of others, I limited myself from talking to friends and family. It had become exhausting and mentally draining. I couldn't bear to feel the pain and fear for those I love on top of my own. I felt a deep sense of guilt for avoiding calls with my brother Shannon, my stepfather Rick, and others. Preserving my own mental strength was essential during my 5 months of treatment. I was still adjusting to my new reality and mourning the person I once was. Meanwhile, COVID brought isolation. And during the times when I needed a comforting hand, a hug, or a face-to-face coffee chat, the lack of in-person connection with my friends felt unbearable for both me and for them. I am extremely grateful to my incredible friends for their unwavering support throughout my journey. The meal train lasting 5 months, homemade chicken parmesan for Sal, endless cards, gifts, grocery deliveries to our door, and prayers. A gift. My spirits were lifted at Christmas during COVID by my running sisters. They came to sing Christmas carols curbside at my home. They slid a big, huge box across my driveway filled with gifts and treats for me, Sal, and the boys. That's a gift ingrained in my memory and heart forever. You all deserve to be named individually, but I'm trying to stick to my 10-minute time limit, and I know that will put me over. You all know who you are, and many of you are here today or watching virtually. I love you all, and thank you. My biweekly chemo schedule, 8 sessions in total, fell on 3 significant days: my birthday, my dad's birthday, and my husband's birthday. My first instinct was to ask for a schedule change, but I'm a true believer that things happen for a reason, so I decided to make the best of it. I focused on believing that each of those birthday chemos would be a gift, and they were. Here I stand, 3 days before my 58th birthday, a gift. Thank you. Saying yes to my friend Yvonne's suggestion to join Memorial Sloan Kettering's writing program was one of the greatest gifts cancer gave me. I was matched with an incredible mentor, Karen Zlotnick, who became my friend, my first friend as the new me, the me after diagnosis. Another gift. Writing with the support of my mentor was my healing potion. She encouraged me to get back to writing letters. So Dear Karen is how I started my writing each week. Excitement filled my weakening body as I looked forward to our weekly calls. Talking about writing and sharing my writing, past and present, was the agenda. It had to be enjoyable and feel good. Having a personal audience of one person dedicated to me made sharing healing. I shared who I was and what I had done in my life previous to cancer. The me I lost instantly the moment of diagnosis was gradually being revealed through past poems, essays, and letters, as well as the new writing I was doing each week. Wanting to share the healing power of writing, I told my chemo nurses about Visible Ink. I encouraged them to share the Visible Ink program and how helpful it was for me with their patients. If just one more person turns to writing to heal by me sharing my story, then I have made a difference. My cancer journey was daunting, both physically and emotionally. I found hope, healing, and grace by choosing gratitude and by recognizing and appreciating the gifts. Before I close, as a quick aside, another significant gift was when one of my poems was chosen for the Visible Ink anthology and again for the Visible Ink annual performance. The Visible Ink team contacted me to let me know that my poem would be put to music. I became a lyricist, another gift. Music has always been an integral part of my life. My father, Bob Gaudio, is a prolific songwriter and producer whose songs you probably know. I'm sure someone in this audience may have been named after one of them. As I mentioned earlier, he was also my first devoted pen pal, one of my earliest and favorite gifts. Music was there to comfort me during every chemo session when all there was the music. Due to COVID, no one could be with me. With my parting words, I encourage you to always remember broken crayons still color. Healing can be found through writing and music and embracing life's many gifts, gifts that are always present, waiting to be discovered and unwrapped. Speaking of gifts, there's a gift for each of you today, a gift of music that I created with my favorite pen pal, my dad. Thank you.
Danielle, thank you for sharing all of your gifts with us. I'd now like to introduce our second speaker, Diana Mitchnick. In 2003, Diana Mitchnick was diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer at the age of 42. Her treatment plan included a double mastectomy and breast reconstruction. Diana received support from her husband, 2 young daughters, family, and friends. She considers herself lucky to be a breast cancer survivor for over 20 years. During her time as a patient, Diana was not aware of the Adelphi Breast Cancer Program. However, given her volunteerism with Pink Aid, she works very closely with our program. I can proudly say that Pink Aid supports our bilingual social work program and treats some of our underserved breast cancer patients. Thank you for your support to the community. Please welcome Diana.
Welcome to everybody. And thank you, Angela, to you and your team for putting together this very special event. Survivorship is most definitely something to be celebrated. I am truly honored to be here today, sharing my story alongside my fellow speakers, Danielle and Lynne. And thank you all for coming to hear our stories and share this special experience with us. My breast cancer story actually began many years before my diagnosis. Growing up, my mom told me that her mother, my grandmother that I never knew, died of breast cancer at the age of 40 when my mom was only 10 years old. My mother was then diagnosed at age 51 while I was in college. Thankfully, it was caught early. Although the cancer was found only in one breast, she made a bold decision for that time and opted for a bilateral mastectomy. She had a positive outlook, was a good patient, and spoke openly about her breast cancer at a time when that was not always the case. She was an 18-year survivor when she sadly passed from a non-cancer related cause. My mother's strength and approach to her breast cancer diagnosis has always stayed with me and most certainly guided me through my journey. She had used terms like family history and high risk, so the importance of early detection was instilled in me very young. I learned early on that I would start going for my mammographies much younger than most. I had my baseline at age 30. I was told that I had cystic breast, which meant that they had a naturally lumpy feel. And I was always a bit nervous that I would not know if there was a cancerous lump amid the naturally occurring cysts. It was recommended that I have sonograms done along with my mammograms because even the radiologists were not 100% confident when reading my films. It was also recommended that I see a breast specialist even before my diagnosis. I am extremely grateful that I followed all the advice given to me because if I hadn't, I might not be here today to tell my story. My actual breast cancer diagnosis did not happen in the usual way. My last mammography, though at the time I did not know it would be my last, showed calcification. My breast specialist reassured me that they were most likely benign and did an excisional biopsy for confirmation. They were in fact benign, but while doing the biopsy, he had decided to remove a rather large cyst that had always proven to be hard to analyze on mammograms and sonograms. Well, that decision turned out to be life-changing for me. The pathology showed a 1 millimeter cancerous intraductal tumor within the cyst. At age 42, I was now part of my family's breast cancer history. It was determined that a mastectomy would be necessary, but when discussing the option of a single or double mastectomy with my doctor, I could hear my mother's voice guiding me. She had once told me that she didn't want to forever be worrying about the other breast and that she might as well be symmetrical. She was very practical that way. I immediately opted to remove both breasts. Those who know me know that I am not usually a decisive person, but this was something I was sure about. Of course, this might not be the right or necessary decision for everyone, but because of the nature of my breasts and strong family history, this was the best choice. My reconstruction involved getting expanders and replacement surgery with saline implants. Although it was almost a year of surgeries, procedures, and recoveries, when all was said and done, it was a journey without complications. My tumor was extremely small, and my lymph nodes were clear, so no radiation or chemotherapy was necessary. Just as I had experienced, my daughters grew up with a mom who talked about family history and being considered high risk for breast cancer. They watched me go from being a breast cancer patient to becoming a breast cancer survivor. They also now understand firsthand the importance of early detection. As they are approaching the age of 30 and their first mammograms, I hope and pray that they are spared having to go through any of this. But I know that if that is not the case, they will face it with strength and resilience, and I will be there to support and guide them through it all. Being a breast cancer survivor is what brought me here today, but it was not a direct path getting here. My first stop was becoming part of Pink Aid, a charity which has become an important and meaningful aspect of my life for the past 10 years. Pink Aid was founded in Connecticut in 2011. One of the founders who knew that I was a survivor reached out to me in 2014 to ask if I was interested in helping to get Pink Aid started here on Long Island. My answer was absolutely yes. Pink Aid's mission is to provide compassionate support, critical resources, and emergency financial assistance to underserved breast cancer patients and their families. Each year, Pink Aid selects organizations and programs to receive grants, and in addition, direct assistance through its Pink Purse. Since its inception, Pink Aid has raised $3.5 million to help underserved breast cancer patients on Long Island. This brings me to how I got here today. Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program was one of our original grantees in 2014 and has been every year since. We at Pink Aid are so inspired by the work they do and honored to support them. The bilingual social workers and patient navigators at Adelphi walked hand in hand with breast cancer patients while helping them navigate their journeys. My current role at Pink Aid as chair of our Pink Posse program is what led me to Adelphi and Angela. The program provides compassion bags for distribution to underserved breast cancer patients going through treatment. These bags, which are filled with various comfort items along with a food card, let patients know that somebody cares. It was while delivering these bags to Angela that we got to talk and know one another in person. And now, here I am. Fortunately, during my breast cancer experience, I had a tremendous amount of support from my family and a large circle of friends. My husband was by my side every step of the way. My two daughters, who were only 6 and 8 years old at the time, were not fully aware of all that was happening, but certainly understood that I was going through something important medically. I will forever be grateful for their hugs, smiles, laughter, and their help with all the little things. We were also fortunate that we did not have to face financial worries, allowing me to focus solely on my health and recovery. This is not the case for everyone. Without emotional and financial support, going through a breast cancer diagnosis and treatment can be exponentially more difficult. Programs like Adelphi's Breast Cancer Support Program and organizations like Pink Aid offer this essential support. Pink Aid's mission also includes encouraging survivors to heal by helping and inspiring others. The incredible women I've grown to know and love at Pink Aid are doing just that. We are truly a unique and special sisterhood. Being a breast cancer survivor forever connects you with other breast cancer survivors. It is a club that no one wishes to join, yet one where you bond immediately with others who understand your journey. Each story is unique, emotional, and inspiring. By sharing our stories, we can uplift those who need it most. Today, we celebrate not just our survivorship, but the incredible community that supports us. Let's continue to share our stories, lend our voices, encourage early detection, and provide hope and compassion to those who are still fighting. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce our third speaker for the evening, Lynne Borah. In 2004, at the age of 55, Lynne Borah was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer involving 34 lymph. Her treatment plan included a double mastectomy, reconstructive surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. Lynne's support team consisted of her husband and mother, who accompanied her to all of her doctor's appointments and treatments. In addition, her family and friends, some of whom were survivors of other cancers, supported her through her diagnosis. During her treatment, Lynne was also not aware of the Adelphi Breast Cancer Hotline and Support Program. Today, she volunteers on the hotline and initiated our Warriors Book Club in order to provide an outlet for long-term survivors of breast cancer. Lynne is a dedicated volunteer with our program. Please welcome Lynne.
Good afternoon. I'm really honored, Danielle and Diane. I want to thank Angela and Raina for their kind and support they've shown since I joined the Adelphi New York State Breast Cancer Hotline and support as a volunteer. This experience for me has been like coming home. There's always someone there to turn to. I have many more thanks to give, but first let me tell my story. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in late 2003 after having been in the BRCA gene genetic study run by Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital for 5 years. The BRCA gene mutation was prevalent in my family. My mother, myself, and 2 first cousins tested positive for the BRCA mutation. 2 of us carried the BRCA2 and 1 the BRCA1. Aside from being perfect precursor to cancer, there was fear that in addition to facing a life-threatening illness, the insurance companies would find the gene carrier uninsurable. Fortunately, that did not occur to me or my. My involvement in the study led me to remove my ovary, have diagnostic testing to ensure I was cancer-free. And I was cancer until the shoe dropped in December 2020. The oncologist overseeing the study located a pea-sized lump under my arm and recommended watching 6 months, followed by a biopsy. It was positive. I'll discuss this. I chose special education as my. It really wasn't my first choice, but according to my mother, it was perfect for a woman. And that's what made me go into it. I wanted to go into broadcasting and become another Barbara Walters. Gratefully, thinking has changed today, and women can be whatever they want. I was fortunate to have a very good and work with a beloved chairman of my department. The last 20 of my 34-year career spent in education. He always greeted the new special education parent with a poem called Welcome to Holland by Emily Pearl Kingsley. I would like to share some lines of that poem with you today. Holland, you say? What do you mean? Huh? I was signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. In my opinion, there's a great correlation between special ed parents and newly diagnosed breast cancer. We men and women were living our lives, going about our business, and all of a sudden, we were told that we had breast cancer. Everything normal stopped. And now, we were forced to navigate the medical world. You must be expedient, tap into the resources you are lucky to have, while the shock and fear are doing tricks to your mind. Somehow we managed, and now we're here tonight. Joyous celebration of survival. It's coincidental that I am celebrating my 20th anniversary of this year, along. If you were lucky enough to have friends and family, as I was, you were given help in many different areas. There were people to make calls, cook for you, do shopping, bring you music and videos. These people tried to stabilize this world of mine that had been upset. They helped me so I could persevere in this new world of cancer. Here comes some thanks. First, I want to thank my husband, who has and always will be by my side. He and my mother accompanied me to all my treatment. He aided me in making medical decisions that I was too anxious and confused to make by myself. My friends were very special, and I can't say enough about how they and my extended family stepped up. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Many were facing similar issues with their own breast cancer. We were always there for each other. Now we come back to my diagnosis. 3 days before Christmas, 2003, breast surgeon performed a double mastectomy along with a sentinel node biopsy, and the plastic surgeon inserted an implant expander at the same time. The breast surgeon reported to my family that I had stage 3, with 34 nodes involved. In 2004, the median survival rate was 5 years for someone with such extensive involvement. This new world kept me safer and I was forced to make a speedy recovery from surgery so I could start my 8 rounds of most aggressive chemo at that time. I was able to handle it because I was given several drugs to ease its effect. I have another thank you to my doctors and team for the outstanding treatment I received. I then moved 27 rounds of radiation administered by a world-renowned radiologist. Reconstruction continued, and I had surgery to insert my implants. My plastic surgeon was excellent, but he was unsure how to proceed because the odds were really not in my favor. I did, however, prove him wrong 15 years later when I asked him to switch smooth implants because of medical associated with model. I really shocked him when after chemo, radiation, and reconstruction, I was given medication used to prevent recurrence. I began taking Famil and then changed to generic letrozole, which is an aromatase inhibitor. This drug was a new treatment, and there were no statistics as to long-term effects. We decided this would be the best chance I had for complete remission. I was on this drug for 19 years, and every 5 years, I was told by my oncologist that maybe I would stop. I was very reluctant, and he went along with my decision to continue. My oncologist didn't have any statistics to make me stop. Finally, a year ago, I did stop. We all agreed it was time. I give him a special. The first few years were difficult, but somehow I survived. I managed to return to peace and continued my life. My checkups were always bright and became a part of my new world. I became involved with Susan G. Komen breast cancer. My husband and I would host a luncheon for family and friends who did the 5K walk with us in Central Park. It was amazing to see and walk so many sisters and their families. That experience will always be in my memory and makes me realize how strong people are. As I thought about retirement, I knew I was going to do volunteer work, but wanted to move away from medical organization. I needed some space to separate and not to be looked at as a breast cancer survivor. I searched for a way to give back. I found my place in an organization called Bottomless Closet, similar to Dress for Success. This organization assists women dressing and prepping for a job. I loved my days working with them, rather than thinking about breast cancer. COVID came, and I was no longer able to work at Bottomless Closet. I was in lockdown, everyone else, and had plenty of time to realize that I wanted to go back to supporting breast cancer patients. I was very lucky to see that Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support looking for volunteers. I was accepted into the program, took the training, and the rest is my time with Adelphi, New York statewide breast cancer hotline and support program has been extraordinary. I have learned so much and have had new experiences. I personally spoke to newly diagnosed patients, sharing my story to offer hope from my personal experience. Along with Nina, we launched a book club, which has opened up the lives of many survivors and newly diagnosed men and women. During my time in treatment, I was dependent on books, both visual and audio, to get me through tough times. I was able to escape and think about other places, people, and time. Nina and I will continue doing our book to facilitate a similar experience for other survivors and people in treatment. Over the past 2 decades, there have been many significant advances in breast cancer treatment. The one I would have liked to have had is the cold cap. In some cases, if worn during chemo, this process can lessen or prevent loss of hair. This could eliminate the need for hair and wig. Trust me, that is very. Since I am not in the medical field, I will just list some of the newer treatments without explanation. There are targeted treatments, immunotherapy, and I am sure others that I am unaware of. This personalized approach and ongoing research makes me, and I'm sure you, excited about a lower mortality rate, fewer diagnoses of breast cancer. I hope I thanked everyone who was in my corner. Now I want to thank you for listening. I will end with the hope of eliminating all cancer so we can live the life we were meant to live. As a luck, I wish that all those affected by breast cancer can move on and your hard times be a distant memory. You are for me. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah. If you want to.
My fellow volunteers, please stand.
Remain standing.
Now can I ask all of the breast cancer survivors to please stand? Warriors, please stand. Those of you who really fought hard. Well, you're already. Thrivers. Caregivers. If you have lost someone due to breast cancer, please. Anyone who has been impacted by breast cancer, please. Look to the right. Look to the left.
Lynn, thank you for sharing your strength and your journey with us tonight. Please join me in thanking our panel of speakers. On behalf of the program, please accept the flowers as a token, small token of our appreciation. Thank you all for sharing your very personal and inspirational stories and reminding everyone that you are not alone. Thank you to our supporters for giving us the honor of celebrating loved ones we've lost, raise funds for those who are actively fighting, and support the women and men who have survived and are thriving following a breast cancer diagnosis. Everyone here tonight knows how important it is to maintain a support system. As we look beyond October and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I want everyone to remember that you are clearly not alone. If you need to talk, please call our hotline at 1-800-877-8077. You can also visit our website and register for our free support groups, upcoming events, educational forums, and other projects and announcements to be shared in the coming week. Thank you again for joining us. Good night.